can't believe that I have to make this video. Travis Hunter is clearly the most undervalued player in every single format. Dynasty, redraft, best ball, all of them just completely wrong. I've never seen such delusion across everyone that's playing fantasy football on one player. In this video, I'm going to show you why I think this, where I'm coming from, and why I just am absolutely losing my mind over Travis Hunter. In order to fully grasp how this organization views Travis Hunter, let's go all the way back to the post-draft press conference. Let's hear what James Gladstone had to say.
Hunter is a Jacksonville Jaguar, and really what comes to mind for me, right? Thinking about the sport of football and really the power of the game itself, right? Its capacity to ignite belief, right? Belief in ourselves, belief in others, right? Belief in achieving what many may deem impossible. Travis Hunter, he embodies belief, right? He's a rare person, he's a rare player, but he's also a reminder that the boundaries of the game of football were built to be challenged.
Now, let's just put our critical thinking caps on right now. What does he mean by all of this? Right? What does he mean that Travis Hunter is only going to play part-time on offense and full-time on corner? We've seen that before. Does he mean he's going to play part-time on defense and full-time on offense? No. Nope. He means Travis Hunter, he believes, will be full-time on both offense and defense. This is something that Travis Hunter has been adamant about doing in college and is now wanting to do it in the pros. And the Jaguars are sitting here in the post-draft press conference, and saying, hey, yes, we believe in Travis Hunter's vision for himself, playing both sides full-time. They don't explicitly say that, but if you just read behind the lines, just think about it for a second. With how much capital they spent to get this player, and listen to the words that he is saying, they fully believe that this guy is just different, right? Now, that's one thing, right? That's what the Jaguars saw going into Travis Hunter's career. The Jaguars staff is like, yes, this guy is extremely valuable because he's going to play receiver and corner for us full time. They didn't say it. They're not going to say that explicitly, but you can tell by the interview, by what Gladstone is saying, that that's what they think. You can tell by their actions of trading up for him and giving up as much as they did. That's what they think of this player, right? Now, I want to go into this too. Now, if you don't believe Travis Hunter is this unicorn prospect of a player, I have some pretty compelling evidence to prove otherwise, right? Now, ReelAnalytics, they use computer vision models. They use these computer vision AI models to, essentially the AI is kind of watching the film, and they use those to derive position-specific metrics, right? To measure their athleticism at their specific positions, right? So Travis Hunter, as a cornerback, was 99th percentile in college as a corner and 99th percentile as a receiver. This is purely athleticism, athletic traits on the football field captured by the computer vision models, right? The guy's an absolute freak, right? Now, and he played full-time, both sides in college. So he doesn't get tired. He just does not get tired. Fun fact, he didn't play football growing up. He was a basketball player. It wasn't until, I think, high school when he started playing football. So he's kind of new to the game of football. Most players, I believe, play football the majority of their lives. He came in and immediately was dominant pretty much from the start. Not to discredit him and say that he wasn't hardworking and he didn't work to where he got, but his athleticism and his natural talent enabled him to do this, right? He had all the potential in the world, and he realized it, obviously, through hard work and perseverance. But this guy is just built different. And I just don't think anyone understands that he's built different, right? Now, reception perception is one of my favorite sources when it comes to looking at receiver prospects and looking at receivers that are currently in the NFL, right? We got an all green route tree for Travis Hunter. I mean, every single route he ran in college, he was winning at an above average rate. This is insane. This guy barely has experience playing the wide receiver position, and he did this. This is what he literally charted out as one of the best ever prospects in the reception perception database, right? Just ridiculous stuff. And on top of that, people that are film experts that watched him in college were very reticent to call him an elite route runner because he's not fully polished as a route runner, right? He didn't play that much receiver in college. He didn't really come on as a receiver until that final year, right? So Travis Hunter is still got like room to grow, I guess, as a route runner, but still at the college level was elite at getting open. So like he's getting open at an elite rate, but he's not fully polished as a route runner. So there's clear room to grow. And this is a player that has demonstrated time and time again that he has the ability to develop and grow on his own, right? He's had to do that in his career at both positions, right? So this guy is just different. Like he's just got that X factor where nobody can do what he's done, right? Nobody's ever done what he's done, right? And so when you're playing fantasy football, I can't even wrap my head around why you would ever think in a million years why this is not somebody that you should be drafting and think that Parker Washington, who's like a Khalil Shakir level talent, or Jacoby Myers, who's fine, but is not elite, right? They spin up on this guy. This guy has shown elite stuff, right, at the college level. And at the NFL level, I can tell you right now, the reception perception stuff is not out yet. But in the Discord, he gave a sneak preview. And spoilers, he had the highest man success rate amongst any rookie receiver last year. So he took these success rates from college, and I haven't seen the route tree yet, but that translated to him getting open against man quite often, right? So the talent is very apparent. In his final game, you can see that he had 14 targets, 8 catches for 101 yards on an 87% snap share. The game before that, he had a 78% snap share. So they started off slow. They were ramping him up. He was 67% snap share, 60% snap share, 50s. That was the range he was in to start his career, which is fine. We expect rookies to have a slow ramp up because they're jumping from one level to the next. And especially a player like this, where he's doing it at multiple positions, right? So expectations early should always be a little bit tempered because it takes a lot to learn an NFL playbook. It takes a lot to transition from the college game to the pros in general, right? It's no different for Hunter, right? Even if he is this insane player, he's still's got to learn, right? He's still got to develop, right? But in week 7, he flashed exactly who he could be, right? that 100 yards, a touchdown on 14 targets. I mean, this is what he could do on a high snap share, right? On a higher snap share. And so you have this like elite player. He unfortunately got hurt, right? He was just getting ramped up and he got hurt. I think Reception Perceptions podcast, Matt Harmon said that he interviewed Trevor Lawrence about Travis Hunter, and he said something along the lines of, yeah, you know, we were after that bye, we were really going to ramp up Travis Hunter's usage in the offense, right? We were going to feature him. That's what I remember hearing from the Reception Perception podcast not too long ago. And it makes sense, right? You could literally see it in the snap shares going up in the final 2 weeks, right? Then this offseason, there's been all sorts of fake reports. You had this guy, this like wannabe Schefter, wannabe Ian Rapoport, sitting here tweeting completely false information, right? Just lying, just flat out lying. And he got 2.3 thousand retweets, got 8.3 million views, 22,000 likes. Completely fake report. Just completely made up everything that he said, essentially. And he made it seem like this is what Ian Rapoport said. He did not say this. Ian Rapoport, so earlier on, there was a report from Cameron Wolfe, right? So here was, he said Cameron Wolfe, reporter for NFL Network, said that he thinks that Travis Hunter's usage will tilt more towards the defensive side of the ball and less towards the offensive side of the ball. Now, where did he get this information? We don't know. We have no clue at all, right? In, I want to say January, with coaches' interviews, Gladstone said something along the lines of, oh, we're going to put a little bit more emphasis on defense for Travis Hunter this year. If you look at our depth chart, we don't have many corners, right? We're losing some guys in free agency. We don't have corner depth. So clearly you can assume that, yes, we are going to use Travis Hunter more at cornerback. Now, I believe Cameron Wolfe here innocently misread that situation and thought that he meant that Travis Hunter was going to be a part-time receiver and a full-time corner, right? That's not what Gladstone meant. And there was nothing said. There's no correction made on this Cam Wolfe report, right? Then months later, Ian Rapoport echoes that sentiment. And I think all he's doing, and this is where the game of telephone starts. Ian Rapoport then says, yeah, he basically repeats Cam Wolfe's report. He makes it sound a little bit worse than Cam Wolfe maybe might have said, right? And then you have this goofball, Evan Sidery, that's literally taking what Rapoport said out of context completely, saying he's going to be a full-time cornerback, and he's going to have some gadget plays on offense, but no longer the 50-50 split he did winning the Heisman at Colorado. Wrong. There was never anything about him just playing gadget plays on offense. That never was said anywhere. This guy, again, completely fabricated and made this up. And then Travis Hunter's value in Dynasty and redraft everywhere, just freefall, right? I knew he was going to be a cornerback. I knew he wasn't going to play both ways, blah, blah, blah. Lots of people saying that, right? It's just not true. None of this was true. I've never seen so many people fall for something so clearly untrue, right? All you had to do was go watch the Ian Rapoport, watch the Cam Wolfe report, and then also watch and see, like, okay, what has the GM said so far? And then when you figure out what the GM actually said, oh, actually, even the reporting from Rapoport and Cam Wolfe is wrong as well, right? So you had two wrong reports that got, altered by this guy who's just like trying to get some clout on the internet. Fine, whatever. I'm sure he got like a check from Twitter for this, but this is fake news. It's legitimately just completely fake and fabricated, and so many people fell for it. It's enraging because it's not right. It's false information. And so, yeah, there's still, so today, we actually got some more clarification on the situation from the GM and the coach, right? Now, this is exactly, if you've listened to the coaches and the GMs leading up to this, you would have already known this information, right? I've already known that they view him this way this entire time because it was so clear and obvious from the draft presser, the post-draft presser. It was so clear and obvious, right? And given how much they paid up for him in the trade market. So we'll start by watching this Rich Eisen interview, right? And there's points, the way that Gladstone articulates himself in this, there's points where it's like, okay, that's a little confusing, I guess. But you can clearly see what he's saying, I think, right? I know some people have their own perspectives on this still, which I think are just absurd. But let's watch this, right?
Let's talk about Travis Hunter. Where do things stand with him right now, James?
He's in a good spot. He's out on the grass in a limited fashion here, and that'll be the case throughout the remainder of the offseason program.
Right. He's still hurt, right? So he's recovering from his injury. He had surgery.
As we get into training camp, he'll be full go, and really looking forward to building off of the momentum that was that game for him individually versus Los Angeles and London. Obviously, being able to breach the 100-yard mark from a receiving standpoint, getting the end.
Yep. See, he's recognizing, hey, that last game was awesome from Travis Hunter.
Zone. At the same time, he turns over to the defensive side of the ball and gets a PBU on a really critical down versus Devontae Adams in coverage. And so being able to build off of really where we were at that point in time and use that momentum.
Really build off of where they were in that point in time. Which, mind you, in that game, he had an 87% snap share.
To carry into this next season is an exciting piece for us.
Well, then the phrase limited obviously is usually used for a player about physically going to be limited in terms of the number of reps, number of things that he can do based on his health. But when you're talking about a guy who can play both sides of the ball, I'm wondering if limited is also another word that you might use for how you're going to use him, James.
Oh, I like it. You could have asked that a little bit more directly.
James does not care. He will tell you right now what the plans are, and it's always been clear. It's always been clear. Watch. He's about to tell you right now how he's going to use Travis Hunter, how they're going to use Travis Hunter, what the plan is. He's going to tell you explicitly what it is, what the deal is, right? If you can actually listen to this and comprehend, you'll come out of this saying, oh, wow, I need to get some Travis Hunter in Dynasty. I need to get him everywhere I can. Because right now, people have mostly panicked. You might not be able to if somebody in your league that has Travis Hunter likes him. But, yeah, let's finish this out here.
Like,
all right, let me do it. Yeah,
ways?
yeah. Oh no, James. No, I admit I didn't want to be. I was testing your anti-fragility. So what do you think? Are we done with the two-way with him or not?
Absolutely not. No, he is set to play both.
Mind you, on Good Morning Football, based off that fake tweet, they did a whole segment about Travis Hunter playing full-time cornerback. Completely fake. Embarrassing. Actually, extremely embarrassing for NFL Network to pick up a fake story. They had a post on Twitter about it, deleted it. I feel bad. I mean, it's not that hard. Just do baseline level investigative work to figure this out, right? It takes a few clicks, right?
Sides of the ball, The piece that I think he is set to play both sides of the ball. The piece that I think we can expect to see is actually an uptick in corner usage. Right, last year it was a higher volume.
All right, so he said an uptick in corner usage. Does that mean he's going to play less on offense? Not necessarily, right? Let's see what he says about that.
Higher percentage of wide receiver usage than it was corner.
Right, he said there was a higher amount of receiver usage than there was corner, which is factually true. He didn't play full time as a corner. He played very limited as a corner, and he played quite a bit on offense, right? He played like 50-60% of snaps most of the season. He was ramping up to play more, right? He was close to 80% in his second to last game. In his last game, he was 87%. So they were ramping him up as a receiver. He played more as a receiver in the first year than he did as a corner. Basically didn't play much at all as a corner, actually, right?
I think we can expect to see that corner percentile and count go up as we move forward. That's not to say
He said they expect the corner percentile and count to go up. So the percentage of snaps out of all the defensive plays, he believes or is saying that will go up, right? The intention has always been full-time on both sides. He's saying here he wasn't really playing as much as they'd like in total. And so he's going to be playing more in corner. And he's about to say that does not mean he's playing less on offense.
Count go up as we move forward. That's not to say anything impacts his availability and usage on offense. It just means that cornerback usage will increase.
Why?
Very clear. Very, very clear. That's not to say that anything will impact his offensive availability or usage. It just means that his cornerback usage will go up. That is what he said from the GM's mouth. But people will still say, oh, Travis Hunter, he's not going to play receiver. He's not going to play enough receiver to be a fantasy asset. Ridiculous, right? And he goes on to explain a little and talk about this a little bit more.
Do you choose that side of the ball to increase rather than the other?
It's not to say that it won't increase on offensive either, but it was lower on the defensive side this past season. We also have a different defensive cornerback room, and the bodies are different than they were a year ago. Our roster construction is different than it was a year ago, so it's more fitting to slot him in at corner in a different way than it was at this time last year or even as the season progressed.
So they essentially just now they kind of need him to play more corner. They don't necessarily mean that he's going to play less on offense. Like, there's nothing here where he says he's going to play less on offense. It's just people assuming, hey, it's not possible for somebody to play on both sides full time. That's not possible. I've never seen that before. That's the only thing that is holding people up, where they're like, no, there's no way he could possibly do this. Well, it's clearly in their plans. And he did it in college. He won a Heisman Trophy because of it, right?
What does he want to do? He doesn't, obviously we don't get to chat with him too much. Speaking for him, if you don't mind, what does he want to do?
He wants to play both ways, and he wants to do exactly what he set out to.
Which he's been adamant about this entire time. He was quoted saying, if I could not play both ways in the NFL, I will quit football. Those are words from Travis Hunter's mouth. They're not negative, right? He's saying he's going to play full time on both sides of the ball at some point in his career. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this year it's still kind of a ramp up period. But the long-term vision has always been full time, right? Now we have this clip from Liam Coen, the
forward. There's always reports now,
right? Being interviewed.
Coach, how do you want to utilize him going forward? There's always reports now that he's only going to play one position. Do you see it that way, or is it changed by the day?
The plan.
She's smiling because she knows the answer already. Because it's a ridiculous question.
And has not changed at all. He's going to play both sides of the football just as we drafted him to do, and just as we have the same vision for him in terms of.
He's going to play both sides of the ball just as we drafted him to do. Come on, guys. Come on.
Being able to give him those opportunities. Now, is it day by day in terms of what he looks like?
Now, his injury, it's going to take a little bit of rehab, right? So they're acknowledging that, right?
In his process of rehab, absolutely. But the plan to play him on both sides of the ball as much as possible, that has absolutely stayed the same. It's
the plan to play him on both sides of the ball as much as possible. That plan has stayed the same. As much as possible. What do you guys think as much as possible means? I think it means until he physically himself is saying, I can't do this, coach, take me out. Which he never did in college, right? He played full time on both sides in college, and they play more plays in college. This guy is just built different. It's not hard to understand, right? Just because you've never seen something before doesn't mean that it can't be done. If you want to doubt Travis Hunter and you think that he's not going to be good, you think Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers are too big of threats for Travis Hunter to get on the field, by all means, don't take Travis Hunter. If you think that, go ahead. It's a ridiculous thought, I think. You could say, hey, they're going to run more 12 personnel. They're going to have more tight ends on the field. It's going to put a squeeze on how many receivers can get sufficient snaps. They just paid Jacoby Myers. They re-signed Parker Washington. Well, they just like good players, and sure, Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers are good players. But they are primarily slot options. And if they are going to a more heavy 12 personnel set, that would squeeze Jacoby Myers and Parker Washington out of the lineup, not Travis Hunter or Brian Thomas Jr. Those two can play anywhere. They can play outside or inside. Whereas Washington and Myers are more slot only. I hope this has been convincing. I hope that if you were a Travis Hunter hater in denier, that you've seen the light and you now realize that this guy should not be basically free in Dynasty. I mean, the last I checked, he was a wide receiver 54 on Keep Trade Cut. Let's see, where is he? Wide receiver 53. Does that make any sense at all to you? It doesn't make any sense to me. I think at a bare minimum, this guy should be a top 24 wide receiver. Where he was going when he was right around February, this range here, this was fine. This was reasonable. This is where he should have been. In the 20s. You get fake news, you get injury, and a player that is immensely talented that I think would probably be the 102 in this class, in this rookie class, is now the wide receiver 54. In a good offense, with a good coach, and a staff that, in my opinion, does know what they're doing, despite what people might think about their reaches during the draft. They do have very intelligent processes in place. They know what they're doing. The staff has had success elsewhere, right? James Gladstone was with the Rams. He was the one that scouted Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams. He was a big part of them acquiring those players as late round gems. Liam Coen, a big part of reviving the Buccaneers, right? And now last year was a big part of reviving the Jacksonville franchise. They haven't even come close to reaching their potential because Brian Thomas Jr. struggled last year. Hunter got hurt after being ramped up. They haven't even gotten started yet, right? Trevor Lawrence, this offense with Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be a lot of fun. You do not want to miss out on this. I'm begging you. Please do not fade Travis Hunter. You don't want to be 90 years old on your deathbed having the regret that you never rostered this generational talent. Thank you very much.